Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Emma, and we're playing Dragon Age Inquisition. Alright, so as some of you at least know, I've already played this part. My recording failed. Thanks, OBS. So we're just gonna go over the same material.
Researcher Minave wishes to verify that the infections have decreased in number.
Poor little thing.
The Inquisition cannot remain, Ambassador, if you can't prove it was founded on Justinia's orders.
This is an inopportune time, Marquis. More of the faithful flock here each day. But allow me to introduce you to the brave soul who risked her life to slow the magic of the breach. Mistress Lavelan, this is the Marquis d'Aurelion, one of Divine Justinia's greatest supporters.
And the rightful owner of Haven. House d'Aurelion lent Justinia these lands for pilgrimage. This Inquisition is not a beneficiary of this arrangement.
This is the first I've heard of Haven having an owner outside the Chantry.
My wife, Lady Machin of Denerim, has claimed to Haven by ancient treaty with the monarchs of Herald. We were honored to lend its use to Divine Justinia. She was a woman of supreme merit. I will not let an upstart order remain on her holy grounds.
So the first time I definitely picked this one. I'm kind of curious to see what this is.
Interesting, considering the Inquisition was begun by the left and right hands of the Divine.
I've seen no written records from Sister Liliana or Seeker Pentacus that Justinia approved the Inquisition.
If you won't take her at her word, I'm afraid Seeker Pentagast must challenge him to a duel.
What?
It is a matter of honor among the Navarrans. Shall I arrange the bout for tonight?
No. Perhaps my reaction to the Inquisition's presence was somewhat hasty.
We face a dark time, Your Grace. Divine Justinia would not want her passing to divide us. She would, in fact, trust us to forge new alliances to the benefit of all, no matter how strange they might seem.
I'll think on it, Lady Montillier. The Inquisition might stay in the meanwhile.
That's amazing. I have not heard that dialogue option before.
Do the d'Aurelions actually have a claim on this place?
His Grace's position is not so strong as he presents it. Despite their Ferelden relations, the d'Aurelions are Orlesian. If the Marquis wishes to claim Haven, Empress Selene must negotiate with the Ferelden on his behalf. Her current concerns are a bit larger than minor property disputes.
I'll say. So, this is directly after the Masked Empire, which means that Selene is struggling to hold on to what remains of her empire. Gaspard is trying to stage a coup, effectively.
I'm so pleased the Marquis isn't tossing us out into the cold.
His Grace is only the first of many dignitaries we must contend with.
You expect more people in Haven?
Undoubtedly. And each visitor will spread the story of the Inquisition after they depart. An ambassador should ensure the tale is as complimentary as possible.
I'm upset with how much blush is on her cheeks. I don't remember it looking like that in character creation. That is a lot of blush.
May I ask, what brought you to work for the Inquisition?
Sister Liliana approached me. We've been acquainted for quite some time. For better or worse, being the Inquisition's diplomat has become as interesting as she promised.
What sort of dealings have you had with nobility?
For some years, I was the royally appointed court ambassador from Antiva to Orlais. The nobility of Thedas is a rather singular sphere. Those I'm not acquainted with, I know through reputation.
The Inquisition is lucky to have you as an advocate, Lady Montillier.
Thank you. Let us hope so. Thedas's politics have become agitated as of late. I hope to guide us down smoother paths. But please excuse me. I've much work to do before the day is done.
Josephine is so wholesome. Let's read this quickly. The children of Andraste. There are many misconceptions regarding Andraste's bloodline, monsieur. This is due, I should think, to a general lack of knowledge regarding Andraste's mortal life. Understandable, considering the many cults that arose following her death. Everyone sought to claim Our Lady for their own culture, or claim some aspect of her existence was a lie. All of them complete fabrications. My order has done considerable research to ascertain the truth. We all know Andraste and the Betrayer raised 5 children. The eldest 3 were sons, Isarath, Evrion, and Herald. The rule of what was once southern Tevinter was split amongst them. Isarath was given the west, what is today Orlais. Evrion was given the east, what is today the Free Marches. Herald was given the central Planocene, what is today Navarra. What became of these men and their legacies is the stuff of legend, and the majority of claimants to Andraste's bloodline link back to one of them. None of the 3 sons, however, were born of Andraste. They were born of the Betrayer's concubine, Gillivan. People chose to overlook the fact that Andraste came from the Alamare tribesmen, and that they were barbarians, not the Ferelden's we know today. They were savage warriors who took concubines in addition to their wives, and because Andraste was thought to be too weak to bear children, but the Betrayer took Gillivan to provide him heirs, which she did. After her death, the sons were raised as Andraste's own. Later in life, Andraste proved predictions wrong and had 2 daughters by the Betrayer, Ibris and Vivial. They were both kept out of the public eye and not permitted to marry, though both had consorts. Ibris had but 1 child, Ali Vimar, who perished on a voyage to Denerim less than a month after her mother fell to plague, and without children of her own. The younger daughter, Vivial, was more controversial, a strong-headed woman who defied her family by falling in love with a mage of Tevinter, Regulan. Vivial and Regulan went into self-imposed exile as the Exalted March began, and into hiding following Andraste's betrayal and murder. What became of Vivial and her descendants is largely unknown for one primary reason. She had only daughters. Each of those daughters had only daughters. They married into other families and took other names, and in the chaos of the Second Blight, all traces of survivors were lost. Andraste's true bloodline, if it exists, lies solely in the descendants of Vivial, and the suspicion of my order is that it produces only daughters. Thus, the claims of your young man, monsieur, are highly suspect. From a letter by Sister Galena of the Augustin Order, Dragon 9:12. That one was fun.
Yes. Good.
Sorry, I should have talked to her first, but...
You're the Herald. Or, well, the one they're calling the Herald, anyway. I hope the Inquisition can restore order soon. I never really wanted to leave the Circle. My name is Maeve. I research demons and other creatures. Seeker Pentagast and I use what I find to help the soldiers fight them.
I found something the demons left behind. Can you use it?
Yes, that's very helpful. Just leave it there and the Tranquil and I will examine it.
I don't know if she's referring to one Tranquil and being kind of demeaning, or talking about several Tranquil and referring to them as a group.
You've brought back some fascinating things. We're putting them to good use.
You said you were a mage.
No, just an apprentice. I was never very good at magic. I've got just enough talent to be a danger to other people. But when the mages rebelled, people like me had nowhere to go. The Templars would have killed us. Luckily, Seeker Pentagast took me in, along with the Tranquil I was protecting.
You said that you were keeping some of the Tranquil safe.
Yes. The mages took some of them when my Circle rebelled, but the rest were forgotten. Most Circle mages look down on the Tranquil, or try to pretend they don't exist. They don't have any emotions. They can barely take care of themselves, can't defend themselves at all. It's a shame. I like them better than most people.
I'm glad they have someone who cares about them.
They deserve better. They're polite, they're rational, and they'll never get angry at you. When they study, they have a focus no normal person could ever match. But the Templars, even some of the mages, mistreated them just because they could. The Tranquil never fought back. If not for that, I don't know. Doesn't really matter now.
I'm surprised that even an apprentice mage wouldn't join the rebellion.
I don't like using magic to fight. I'm not good at it either. I liked studying. I liked performing rituals that helped us unlock the secrets of the Veil. I liked having the Templars around to keep us safe.
Ooh, that's a... Oh, there's so many options, but I have to choose the Elfie one. I won't pick that fight about the Templars just yet.
You might have done well among the Dalish. Our mages are encouraged to study safely.
Fenrir will take the Dalish. Don't let my lack of Valisline fool you, Lethline. I was a proud member of my clan until my magic manifested. You know what happens when they have too many mages. They gave me a pack and sent me into the woods to find my own life. I was 7 years old.
That's really not okay.
I'm so sorry.
I stumbled into a village, starving and cold a few weeks later. I started using magic to scare predators away. The villagers saw me make fire in my fist. They were terrified and wanted to kill me. Templars saved me from them. They gave me food and clothes and took me to the Circle. I've seen what life is like without the Templars, and I want no part of it. I just want to study.
I'm really glad that we got to see this perspective. Having just finished DA2 and siding with Anders and the mages, this is definitely a different perspective. It's I know that there's a lot of talk of Templars being protectors, but this is one of the very few examples I've actually seen of it in the game. And it's hard. It's hard because so many people are mistreated, but I like that there is some humanization of the Templar Order, that they're not all horrible douchebags, TLDR. Because you want a good villain to have some relatability. You want there to be some gray area. Otherwise, it's very one-dimensional. So I like that this has been different than my normal experience with the Templars. It definitely gives some more food for thought on the issue.
You said Cassandra has you researching creatures.
Yes. If you find anything interesting in your travels, I'd appreciate you bringing it to me. I may be able to find some weakness our soldiers can exploit when fighting various creatures. At the least, some materials are useful for making potions or gear for the Inquisition.
Why did you decide to research dangerous creatures?
I like the outdoors. The idea of the outdoors, anyway. When some monster is coming at you, glowing eyes and burning claws, it's terrifying. But once you know how it works, you can deal with it. It's just another part of the world. So much of this world is only frightening because we don't understand it.
That's very true.
I'll speak with you later.
Thank you again for what you've brought back.
I like her. Okay.
Please tell me if you find something.
Will do. Okay, so that's all in here. So I think I want to make a habit of doing the war table towards the beginning so we can get that taken care of. I do have a mod that lets them complete instantaneously. I don't think I like that. Part of the experience for me is being able to strategize and organize my time so I can go back and handle that accordingly. The instant gratification kind of takes away from the suspense and the reward of picking a good choice, I feel like. So I don't have it disabled right now, but I feel like I'm going to do that. We can come in here and look at the table, but I probably won't do any of the missions because I want it to be staggered. I like the mechanic. I know a lot of people don't, and that's totally chill. Like, play the game in a way that makes you enjoy it, in a way that makes you happy. It's yours. It's your experience. And I really like the whole war missions or table of strategy kind of thing. So all of these, oh, we have a few that we can do.
Did you see the message I sent?
Yes, thank you.
I won't be using guides for any of this, not really. None of it's too terribly consequential except for this one. Ironically enough, I just so happened to pick the choices that would allow Clan Llewellyn to not only live but flourish my very first playthrough. I had no idea that the smallest miscalculation could, you know, lead to their deaths. And so I'm in a few Dragon Age groups and stuff on Facebook, on forums and whatnot, for cosplay and other things. And people were talking about it, and I was like, what? I had no idea that you could accidentally get them killed or put them in the situation to be killed. And I was just like super shocked. I will look up a guide for that one. I don't remember what I picked the first time. I just kind of went with what I thought was best. So I'll make sure for that one, because I don't want to put that on my character. She doesn't need that. But otherwise, we'll just be playing whatever's gut instinct, whatever sounds reasonable. Okay, we've been there. What's here? More books. And this is just a prayer, if I remember. I remember looking at this one because it talks about the first and second borns. And it's basically, yeah, a canticle of Threnodies. 5, 1 through 8. So it's like the Bible, but not. It's just talking about how the Maker made spirits first. Didn't like it. This is just dungeons. And so was like, oh, well, I'll try again.
Does the darkness creep?
And so he made human breath. And then got bored of them too. Or upset with them, whatever it happened to be. Now, I want to spend my time wisely. So, I was about to be like, oh, where is he?
The chosen of Andraste, a blessed hero sent to save us all.
This is the best use of my time in the entire game. No questions asked. So this is my favorite part of the game. I was the person who would do a little questing and run back, see what else my friends had to say, what else we could talk about. So I am loving the fact that we can get some good dialogue in right off the bat. We'll make our rounds to the other characters, don't worry. I'm not going to sit here and spam Solas all day long. But this is definitely my first stop. Alright, Chosen of Andraste. I don't feel like she's super into it. We're Dalish. It's kind of like, no thank you.
Am I riding in on a shining steed?
I would have suggested a griffon, but sadly they're extinct. Joke as you will, posturing is necessary. I've journeyed deep into the Fade in ancient ruins and battlefields to see the dreams of lost civilizations. I've watched as hosts of spirits clash to reenact the bloody past in ancient wars, both famous and forgotten. Every great war has its heroes. I'm just curious what kind you'll be.
Can I just, like, get him to talk? Whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's just so lyrical and smooth and flowing. It's so lovely.
What do you mean, ruins and battlefields?
Any building strong enough to withstand the rigors of time has a history. Every battlefield is steeped in death. Both attract spirits. They press against the veil, weakening the barrier between our worlds. When I dream in such places, I go deep into the Fade. I can find memories no other living being has ever seen.
They do such a good job with their facial animations. Like, and the textures. The textures look so, like, look at the different colors that make up, like, even just his cute little bald head. Like, Dragon Age. You did such a good job with this. It looks so nice.
You fall asleep in the middle of ancient ruins. Isn't that dangerous?
I do set wards. And if you leave food out for the giant spiders, they are usually content to live and let live.
No spiders, no thank you.
I've never heard of anyone going so far into the Fade. That's extraordinary.
Thank you. It's not a common field of study for obvious reasons. Not so flashy as throwing fire or lightning. The thrill of finding remnants of a 1,000-year-old dream? I would not trade it for anything. I will stay there. At least until the breach has been closed.
Was that in doubt?
I am an apostate surrounded by Chantry forces in the middle of a mage rebellion. Cassandra has been accommodating, but you understand my caution.
Yes. All heart options. I will always choose heart options with him.
You came here to help, Solas. I won't let them use that against you.
How would you stop them?
However I had to.
Thank you. But now let us hope either the mages or the Templars have the power to seal the breach.
Oh, little dance. Time for a dance. I love their exchanges. It's like a waltz. A very precise waltz. Let's ask a few more.
Closing the breach is our primary goal. But I hope we might also discover what was used to create it. Any artifact of such power is dangerous. The destruction of the Conclave proves that much.
You don't think whatever created the explosion was destroyed in the blast?
You survived, did you not? The artifact that created the breach is unlike anything seen in this age. I will not believe it destroyed until I see the shattered fragments with my own eyes.
We would do well to try to recover whatever created the breach.
Liliana's people have scoured the area near the blast and found nothing. Whatever the artifact was, it is no longer there. In any case, did you need me for anything?
Let's start with having him talk about himself. I feel like we can get to these later.
I'd like to know more about you, Solas.
Why?
Aww.
You're an apostate, yet you risked your freedom to help the Inquisition.
Not the wisest course of action when framed that way.
I appreciate the work you're doing, Solas. I just wanted to know more about you.
I'm sorry. With so much fear in the air. What would you know of me?
What made you start studying the Fade?
I grew up in a village to the north. There was little to interest a young man, especially one gifted with magic. But as I slept, spirits of the Fade showed me glimpses of wonders I had never imagined. I treasured my dreams. Being awake, out of the Fade, became troublesome.
Did spirits try to tempt you?
No more than a brightly colored fruit is deliberately tempting you to eat it. I learned how to defend myself from more aggressive spirits, and how to interact safely with the rest. I learned how to control my dreams with full consciousness. There was so much I wanted to explore.
I gather you didn't spend your entire life dreaming.
No. Eventually, I was unable to find new areas in the Fade.
Why?
2 reasons. First, the Fade reflects the world around it. Unless I traveled, I would never find anything new. Second, the Fade reflects and is limited by our imaginations. To find interesting areas, one must be interested.
Is this why you joined the Inquisition?
I joined the Inquisition because we were all in terrible danger. If our enemies destroy the world, I would have nowhere to lay my head while dreaming of the Fade.
Such a cheeky ass response. Weird. Weird flex, but good for you.
I wish you luck.
Thank you. In truth, I've enjoyed experiencing more of life to find more of the Fade.
How so?
You train to flick a dagger or an arrow to its target. The grace with which you move is a pleasing side benefit. You have chosen a path whose steps you do not dislike because it leads to a destination you enjoy. As have I.
I love this flirt.
So you're suggesting I'm graceful?
No. I am declaring it. It was not a subject for debate.
Somebody kill me. I love their dynamic so much. Out of all the romances and all the games I've ever played, this is probably my favorite. And I am super excited to experience it again through different eyes, through the knowledge that I've accumulated, both having played this the first time, because it's always kind of like it's like a book. You always want to read it twice, because then you catch the nuances that you weren't aware of the first time through. I'm a big proponent of that, and same thing with playing games, video games, particularly narrative-based ones, because then you get the full experience. You get insight into all the things that you couldn't have possibly been aware of yet, because you didn't understand the full extent of the story. So this is just wonderful. This is my favorite, and I'm going to fangirl about this throughout this whole playthrough.
You said you traveled to many different places.
This world, or its memory, is reflected in the Fade. Dream in ancient ruins, and you may see a city lost to history. Some of my fondest memories were found in crumbling cities, long picked dry by treasure seekers, the best of the battlefields. Spirits press so tightly on the veil that you can slip across with but a thought.
Any place in particular?
I dreamt Dostigar. I witnessed the brutality of the Darkspawn and the valor of the Ferelden warriors. I saw Alistair and the hero Ferelden light the signal fire, and Logain's infamous betrayal of Kaelin's forces.
I've heard the stories. It would be interesting to hear what it was really like.
That's just it. In the Fade, I see reflections created by spirits who react to the emotions of the warriors. One moment, I see heroic wardens lighting the fire, and a power-mad villain sneering as he lets King Kaelin fall. The next, I see an army overwhelmed and a veteran commander refusing to let more soldiers die in a lost cause.
And you can't tell which is real?
It is the Fade. They are all real.
This is one of the foremost reasons why this romance is my favorite. Solas is so thoughtful. There is so much intellectual grace here. Not only in the way he speaks, which is evidence of as much, but in the way that he thinks about things. It's not biased, it's objective, and he looks at both sides. He looks through perspectives that others would immediately dismiss. To harken back to what Maeve was saying, he's not afraid of the unknown. He's willing to embrace the unknown and to travel in those places that other people wouldn't bother to. I really like the allegory of him sleeping in a crumbling ruin long picked over by treasure hunters, right? So all the glinty gold pieces and other things that people might initially think of are no longer there. Those are people's instincts. Those are what people are like, oh, I need this. And he's like, but there's other treasure to be found here. And now, clearly not everyone can do this, can dream in the Fade and travel it like he can. But I really love the uniqueness. I love the fact that he's so insightful and thoughtful and thought-provoking.
Have you always traveled and studied alone?
Not at all. I have built many lasting friendships. Spirits of wisdom, possessed of ancient knowledge, happy to share what they had seen. Spirits of purpose helped me search. Even wisps, curious and playful, would point out treasures I might have missed.
I don't know of any spirits by those names.
They rarely seek this world. When they do, their natures do not often survive exposure to the people they encounter. Wisdom and purpose are too easily twisted to pride and desire.
You're saying that you became friends with Pride and Desire demons?
They were not demons for me.
Meaning?
The Fade reflects the minds of the living. If you expect a spirit of wisdom to be a pride demon, it will adapt. And if your mind is free of corrupting influences, if you understand the nature of the spirit, they can be fast friends.
I really, really love that concept. So everyone's so afraid of demons and find demons here and there, but it's because they're fulfilling your expectations. If you expect them to be this, they adapt to that. And I love the possibilities there. And it makes me very sad for the poor spirits that come through, meaning no harm, and intending to interact positively, if not neutrally, with its surroundings, only to be twisted by the people observing and interacting with it.
I'm impressed that you could become friends with spirits.
Anyone who can dream has the potential. Few ever try. My friends comforted me in grief and shared my joy. Yet, because they exist without form, as we understand it, the Chantry declares that spirits are not truly people. Is Cassandra defined by her cheekbones and not her faith? Varric by his chest hair and not his wit?
I love this. I love this. This is exactly what I love about him. What... Like, I'd be interested to see what he had to say to these other things, but I can't bear it. Like, I love this subject matter. It's so fascinating to me. He's such an interesting person.
You have an interesting way of looking at the world, Solas.
I try. And that isn't quite an answer.
I look forward to helping you make new friends.
That should be... well...
That isn't quite an answer either.
Oh, I love it so much. Oh my god.
We'll talk later.
Goodbye.
This is why I would just do my quests and then run back if there were anything more to hear from him, anything more to learn from him. I know we have 2 other dialogue options, but I'm trying not to devour them all in one bite. I want to savor. It's gonna be the whole playthrough. It's me over here like fangirling. Alright, we have reached the Apothecary.
Segret told me that he can't let the herbs go for anything less than 8.
Fine. We'll gather our own. Tell Segret he better hope he doesn't need a salve anytime soon.
Bye, guy. I really hate that, like, mannequin head with the marks and the clamp. That's a big barrel of no.
Look who's back from the dead. Again.
I don't recall meeting you before.
I'd be surprised if you did. You weren't particularly coherent. Someone had to patch you up after you staggered out of making those wear, though. So, you're welcome.
I didn't realize. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you can pay me back by fixing the wood. Name's Adan. I'm in charge of keeping our little band here stocked with potions and elixirs. Not that Seeker Pentagast seems to care whether we've got the supplies to actually do that.
Ooh, I'm not going to call him out for being cranky.
How are your people holding up?
There's no shortage of work. That's for damn sure.
Oh, I guess.
For a healer, you don't seem particularly nurturing.
I'm not a healer. I'm an alchemist who's forced to play Mother Hen. You want something to burst into flame on contact with the air? Done. Gladly. Patching up wounded soldiers is a waste of my time and talents. But there are a few around who can help.
I wouldn't say it was a waste of your time. Perhaps a waste of your talents, but thank you for pitching in.
Is there anything I can do to help out?
We're fine as far as raw labor goes. You've more important things to do than tend to me. I only wish I'd been able to find Master Tajin's notes. Old bastard was working on something special. He died at the Conclave, and his notes weren't here. Been too busy dealing with the wounded to look for them.
How do I go about having potions made?
Just take a look there and tell me what you'd like. Find a recipe for something better, I can make that too.
All right. Okay, good. We did pick up that quest. Let's put that. Bam. We're good to go.
Let me know if you need anything.
Will do. Thank you very much. So... fruit we need. I'm just checking this to make sure what to, like, keep an eye out for when we travel. More elf fruit. And royal elf fruit. Got it. Do we have anything for here yet? Yeah, I figured as much. Okay, that's fine. Oh, there was a note I almost forgot. Oh, and a chest. Okay, patient observations, day 2. Pulse normal. Breathing normal. Still unresponsive. Careful drop feed of prep. Is that some sort of saline solution or something? Elf root extract to hasten recovery. He says drop feed, and I'm thinking like a saline bag tacked up to an IV. A lot of thrashing. Mutters about too many eyes. Something about the gray. Encouraging? Too many eyes is probably the spiders. I don't know about the gray. That to me says Grey Wardens, but what would she know about the Grey Wardens? Okay, we've dealt with those. So let's finish exploring this little nook. I really just love the detail they put into these things. Like, remember we had the pretty room, and now we've got like more of a cot over here. Oh, there's lots of sleeping spaces. But like all the detail put into this. The Randy Dowager Quarterly? A well-worn quarterly missive of suspect virtue. The Randy Dowager welcomes the cool of autumn with the fall of another. The collected dreams of desire, being the confessions of an apprentice and training more furrowing than harrowing. Forbidden dalliances at their most spirited. Is this like a romance novel, if I want to be polite? The Randy Dowager, exhibitions for the noble of thought, but spry of step. The lady herself says, enchanting. One supports the circles, if only because closed doors offer the imagination more. 3 scarves fluttered in shock out of 5. Was it a review? Oh, man. Alright. I'm chill. I'm really glad they include stuff like that in the game. Okay, so I know we have 1,000,007 Kotex entries. Yes, we have many. So I'm going to go ahead and catch up on those. If they're not your jam, feel free to call it a day with this episode. If not, buckle the fuck up, because we've got literally 1,000,007. Okay, Josephine Montillier. Seeker Cassandra. Josephine Montillier is a noble from the nation of Antiva. She was educated in Val Royeaux, where she built connections among the court. Once she finished her schooling, at a surprisingly young age, Lady Montillier became the official diplomat between King Fulgeno of Antiva to Empress Celine of Orlais. The appointment suits her. She is well-traveled, familiar with many forms of etiquette, and by all accounts a skilled negotiator. If that endorsement does not suffice, Josephine is a personal friend. I have faith in her. We require someone both influential and trustworthy to be an ambassador for the Inquisition. You cannot tell me you would prefer to take the job yourself. From Liliana. Speaking of, or the Nightingale. Some refuse to speak her name at all, referring to her only as the left hand of the Divine, the shadow behind the Sunburst throne. The spy, Master Marjolaine, trained Liliana from a young age. For years, Liliana was Marjolaine's instrument in the great game of Orlais. While Liliana was devoted to Marjolaine, the reverse was not true. Marjolaine betrayed Liliana and almost succeeded in killing her. Liliana survived the betrayal thanks to revered mother Dorothea. That was a really good DLC. That was really, really good. One of my favorites, probably. Following the betrayal, Liliana spent several years in a cloister in Ferelden, hiding from her past. Inspired by revered mother Dorothea, Liliana dedicated herself to her faith, discovering peace in a simple life of devotion. But when the 5th Blight began, she received what she believed to be a vision from the Maker. This prompted her to leave her sanctuary, taking up arms against the Darkspawn. Several years after the defeat of the Archdemon, Liliana received a summons from Dorothea, now Divine Justinia V. She returned to Orlais to become an agent of the Sunburst throne. Justinia perished in the explosion that destroyed the Divine Conclave, and Liliana became a founding member and spy master of the new Inquisition. Yes, she did. All right. Cullen, whatever you have heard of Kirkwalls' rebellion, the truth is far worse. I would spare you that. what remains of Kirkwalls Templars have been under my command for the past few years. We have done what we could to assist with the city's recovery, to restore some semblance of order, but my time here is done. Seeker Pentagast has approached me. She wishes to stop the war between mages and Templars. She has been recruiting men and women to the cause and wishes me to oversee the group's military concerns. If the conclave goes well, then we will not be needed. If not, we stand ready. I have decided to take Seeker Pentagast's offer. The circles have fallen. I can give no more to the Templar Order, nor it to me. The Maker has shown me a new path. I must take it. Excerpt from a letter sent to Southreach by Commander Cullen. Isn't this where his family is? I mean, that's my, like... What is it? Educated guess? Okay. Easy. Spindleweed. It is an old country saying that spindleweed grows best for the sorrowful. Verdant spindleweed in a household's garden has often brought neighbors offering consolation, usually without even asking what might be wrong. This originates from the plant's use as a seasoning for dishes meant to speed the recovery of the infirm. A person who grows much of it is likely caring for the fatally ill. An excerpt from the Botanical Compendium by Inez Arancia, botanist. All right. Rebel mages. Whereas the circle was established not merely to protect the world from mages, but also to allow mages to practice their art safely and without fear, and this is written like a legal document. My, like, attorney nerd senses are tingling. Whereas under Lord Seeker Lambert's command, the Templars sworn to protect all people, including mages, from the harmful effects of magic, have instead persecuted mages with such biased judgment as to worsen the problems they were meant to mitigate. So this means that this was Orlais, or Valrio. The circle at Valrio is the one in Asunder, and this is pulling from Asunder because Lord Seeker Lambert, that's where they kind of examine that and that whole uprising. Whereas the right of tranquility, intended as a tool of last resort to stop uncontrolled mages from hurting themselves or others, has instead been used for punitive, that means as a punishment, and political purposes to silence dissent and inhibit civilized discourse. I just explained that because I'm pretty sure that's a legal term, so there you go. Whereas Andraste herself intended the relationship between mage and Templar to be one of practitioner and protector, not prisoner and jailer, and this contract has been broken, leaving mages in fear for their lives from those sworn to protect them. Now, therefore, the Circle of Magi declares the following. Oh my god, I love this so much. This is everything. We, the mages of Ferelden and Orlais, do hereby dissolve the circles and renounce our sworn submission to the Order of the Templars, effective immediately. We reiterate Andraste's assertion that magic was made to serve man, not rule over him, and state unequivocally that we will use our abilities only to defend ourselves from those who would see us relinquish our lives and freedoms under the presumption of guilt for crimes we have not committed. We condemn those practitioners of magic who, through illness of mind or understandable but misguided anger at those who oppress them, would use their maker-given powers to threaten innocent lives, and we pledge to aid any legitimate and impartial government in bringing these lawless apostates to justice. We look earnestly to a future of cooperation between all peoples of Thedas, free from persecution and prejudice, and hope to build a better world alongside all who approach us with friendship instead of fear. Yours in service to Andraste and the Maker, the Free Mages of Thedas. A leaflet distributed in towns and villages across Orlais and Ferelden. I love that so much. It's so well reasoned and well written, not only because it's a legal document, and for those of you who are new to this playthrough and series, I'm an attorney, and so this shit is my shit, and I love it. It's everything that I want out of a formal dissolution of the circles. It's unbiased. It's rational. It's logical. It's not over here like spouting nonsense. Like this is a well-reasoned document, and it's wonderful, and I love it. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now to something far less. The Templar Order, traditional role. Often portrayed as stoic and grim, the Order of Templars was created as the martial arm of the Chantry. Armed with the ability to dispel and resist magic in addition to their formidable combat talents, Templars are uniquely qualified to act as both a foil for apostates, mages who refuse to submit to the authority of the Circle, and a first line of defense against the dark powers of blood mages and abominations. While mages often resent the Templars as symbols of the Chantry's control over magic, I mean, that's fair. The people of Thedas see them as saviors and holy warriors, champions of all that is good, armed with piety enough to protect the world from the ravages of foul magic. In reality, the Chantry's militant arm looks first for skilled warriors with unshakable faith in the Maker, with a flawless moral center as a secondary concern. That's fucking evident. Yikes! Templars must carry out their duty with an emotional distance, and the Order of Templars prefers soldiers with religious fervor and an absolute loyalty over paragons of virtue, who might question orders when it comes time to make difficult decisions. Oh my god! That's problematic. I hope I don't have to, like, state that in a more outright manner. The Templars' power derives from the substance lyrium, a mineral believed to be the raw element of creation. While mages use lyrium in their arcane spells and rituals, Templars ingest the primordial mineral to enhance their abilities to resist and dispel magic. Lyrium use is regulated by the Chantry, but some Templars suffer from lyrium addiction, the effects of which include paranoia, obsession, and dementia. Templars knowingly submit themselves to this treatment in the service of the Order and the Maker, which is unfortunate, and another means of control, if we want to be real. It is this sense of ruthless piety, that's such a fitting and yet a wholly inaccurate label for this, that most frightens mages when they draw the Templars' attention. When the Templars are sent to eliminate a possible blood mage, there is no reasoning with them, and if the Templars are prepared, the mage's magic is all but useless. Driven by their faith, the Templars are one of the most feared and respected forces in Thedas. From Patterns with Inform by Halden, First Enchanter of Starkhaven, 880 blessed. That is kind of terrifying. The Templar Order, End of an Accord. In the 20th year of the Divine Age, the Navaran Accord was signed. The Seekers of Truth lowered our banner and agreed to serve as the Chantry's right hand, and together we created the Circle of Magi. With the Circle no more, I hereby declare the Accord null and void. Neither the Seekers of Truth nor the Templar Order recognize Chantry authority, and instead we will perform the Maker's work as it was meant to be done, as we see fit. Signed this day on the 40th year of the Dragon Age, Lord Seeker Lambert Van Reeves. Of course. Of course. I was like, what the fuck? It's because it's Lambert. Letter sent to Divine Justinia from the former Lord Seeker. God, he's such a douche. Alright. What do we have? We done that one? I'm just seeing what all we've got. Okay, so we had the one. We did the Bread of the Maker one, right? I don't remember, honestly, because we clicked off of it. The First Inquisition. The birth of the Chantry took place more than 9 ages ago, the mist of time having obscured once well-known facts. It is commonly believed the Chantry alone created the Templars and the Circle of Magi. Few recall there ever was an Inquisition. Those who do believe it predated the Chantry, hunting cultists and mages in a reign of terror ending only upon its transformation into the Templar Order. This is not quite the truth. One must keep in mind the state of Thedas prior to the Chantry's creation, a world where the only source of order, the Tevinter Imperium, had fallen apart. People blamed magic for the death of Andraste. I'm pretty sure her husband sold her out, not magic. The Blight, the terror they saw every day, and not without reason. Abominations and demons rampaged the countryside. No one was safe. Disparate groups of men and women initially formed the Seekers of Truth, determined to re-establish order because no one else would do what was necessary. The truth they sought, the question they tried to answer, was how to restore sanity in a world gone mad. Which makes sense as to why we're doing this now. Same modus operandi. Was theirs a reign of terror? Perhaps. Evidence suggests they were as vigilant in their protection of mages as they were of regular people. But that sounds reasonable, right? When they intervened, they convened an ad hoc trial to determine the guilty party. This even application of justice led to their poor reputation. What? What? Don't you want to treat people evenly and fairly? Like, you don't want to give bias? The Seekers came down against every group at one time or another, their Inquisition gaining notoriety for being on no one's side but their own. I mean, you're supposed to be impartial when you're an adjudicator. They considered themselves good people, however, followers of the Maker's true commandments. Am I missing something? This was never more evident than when they laid down their banner in support of the fledgling chantry. They believed with all their heart that the Templar Order was the answer a desperate Thedas needed in a terrible time. Ultimately, the Inquisition was composed of independent idealists, not chantry zealots. That is the truth. From an In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar by Brother Genitivi. Alright, I think if we miss Bride of the Maker, let me know and I'll catch it next time. I need to be careful not to try to, like, mouse over these other ones so I know which ones we haven't touched on yet. The hinterlands. My Lord all Tegan. I can't think or talk about Tegan without, like, Isolde, like, screeching her meme phrase in my head.
Who is this woman, Tegan?
I retired to the hinterlands for peace and quiet, away from the politics. And because the wide open spaces were perfect to let my horses run. This is Dennett, isn't it? Instead, the war between the mages and the Templars has turned your beautiful hills into a series of burning battlefields. The farmers who live in the hinterlands are good folk. Many of them left Redcliffe Village because they couldn't bear to be there anymore. Not after the Blight, and the Walking Dead left so many bad memories. Now we've got apostates running around, setting fire to anyone who looks at them sideways, and Templars looting houses and cutting down those who protest as mage sympathizers. My wife Elena sent off our field hands to stay with her family in the east, but there are a lot of poor people here with nowhere to go. We get more refugees every day. This village attacked by mad mages, or that farmstead burned to the ground by Templars who can't tell a hoe from a staff. Sounds like everybody needs to calm down. I suppose you're stretched thin, but anything you can do to lessen the burden of these poor folk would be much appreciated. I'll do as I can, and if your men need better mounts, say the word. Best of luck to you, my lord. Remember not to let Duchess puff out her gut when you saddle her. Yours in service, Dennett. A letter from Redcliffe's former horsemaster to Arl Tegan of Redcliffe. Undelivered. Oh, and it lists the resources. So what he means about puffing out her gut is when you saddle a horse, there's a contraption that's towards the front of the saddle that goes right underneath, kind of where their armpits would be. To secure it. That's the main means of securing a saddle in place. It's called a girth. And sometimes what horses will do is they'll like suck a bunch of air into their lungs to expand their torso. So when you cinch it, they can release all that air and it's not as tight. They actually do this. This is an actual like thing. And then your saddle like jostles around when you ride. Yes, I'm from Texas. Yes, I had horses growing up. Yes, I fulfill that aspect of the stereotype. Okay. I don't really care about the tutorials, but let's, like, click through here because I hate having the little unread symbol when I could clear it. And we have a pretty notification-free screen. Okay. So, next time we'll just continue on and try to go around, greet all of our friends, get acquainted with Haven, and I'll take that mod off so we can stagger out our mission table better, because I just think that's a fun part of the game. Okay, I hope that each of you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time.